Welcome to Life List, a birding podcast. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Life List, a birding podcast. I'm Molly Brown. I'm your host today. It's a Friday afternoon, and I am so excited to be sitting here with Dexter, Patterson, and Jason Hall. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you all a little bit about them, read their bios, and then we're going to get into this. So Dexter Patterson is known on social media as the Wisco Birder and is dedicated to making birdwatching welcoming for all. His energetic You Ready? Let's Go videos featuring him finding various bird species have amassed millions of views and captivated Instagram followers. As an educator, multimedia professional, and co-founder of the BIPOC Birding Club of Wisconsin, Dexter aims to prove that birding is for everyone, promoting inclusivity and connecting people with the beauty of nature. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. That guy kind of sounds kind of interesting. I was like, I want to meet this dude. You know,
He's
who's that guy?
He's okay. He's okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have Jason here. Jason Hall got pulled into birding on the wings and bubbly mannerisms of a tufted titmouse as part of a high school environmental science course outside of Philadelphia. Over the years, he's grown that passion into founding the nonprofit In Color Birding Club, ICBC, which focuses on providing a safe and joyful on-ramp to birding for historically marginalized communities. In addition to his career in vaccine commercialization, Jason works with the ICBC board to consistently expand access to birding and the outdoors for communities in and around Philadelphia. This includes partnering with many local organizations to offer free, safe, and joyful bird outings, local bus sponsorships, and teachers' school supply scholarships. So thanks for being here, Jason.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Yeah, it's awesome. Excited.
I'm excited too. I'm really excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And what hasn't made it onto either of your bios yet is that you're now also podcast hosting the Birdjoy podcast.
I guess so.
Look at that. Yeah, we got things we got to do, Jason. We got things to do. The most interesting podcaster in the world. His name is Jason Hall.
Yeah, right.
The guy works with vaccines and makes birding cool. I mean, come on. Some things you just can't, you can't make up. And,
No, you can't. Maybe my life would be more interesting if vaccines had been a hot topic over the last 4 years, but it's been quite boring. So, we'll have to stick to the birding today,
Well, I'm glad something keeps you excited. Yeah. Well, I just had to look, since I started recording Life List, it's really cut into my time listening to other podcasts because I spend so much time working on this. But I do listen to yours. I think I've maybe listened to every episode now, and I was pretty sure they came out on Fridays. And I turned it on this morning and found out that you wrapped up your season 1. So congrats on that. And now I get to talk to you twice today.
Yeah. It's I was sounding like, Jason, we did it. It is kind of weird to get to that point of we had this idea and we finished it, right? And it's not done, but we finished it. We literally did a whole episode and we got to talk about some really important issues. And I was just I'm proud of us, it was just a good feeling of sometimes those ideas, you don't make it happen, but to make it happen, to dedicate to the homies, to make it happen every Friday, and to see what that consistency did. And man, it was humbling and super gratifying just to see it all unfold. And so many people I didn't know, meeting new people. And I don't know, I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it because it's
right.
You know how it goes, man. This is I was like, this is crazy. But super excited for season 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's I got to tell you, the first episode, I think we did one practice episode, you and me just trying to figure out the mannerisms and moving around each other. And I remember feeling super awkward about it. Right. Cause I'd never done a podcast, but, to go from that to now having the engagement with the community on social media, obviously being here with you, Molly, and having a chance on the ABA podcast and finding our way, setting our table, so to speak, within the birding community has been really special. Right. And you know, I'm sure you probably feel the same way. It's like you get to a point where you catch your breath and then you think, man, the birding community is so big. It's so dynamic. There's so many different voices. Like we're going to have like 50 seasons to get to everybody that we want to get to, you know, but that part of it is really exciting to me. Like it's really exciting to me to know that there's voices out there that I have no idea they even exist right now. And one day maybe we can bring them to the forefront and they will provide a perspective to someone else out there that is similarly like that wants to get into birding. And so like that's really the fun part, to go from me feeling super awkward behind this microphone to knowing that there's people out there that are connecting because of our podcast. So yeah, looking forward to season 2. It's gonna be wild, you know?
Oh yeah. It's so gratifying. So well, that's the crazy thing about podcasting too, is it's honestly pretty easy to stick a podcast out there. Like at the baseline, you record something and it's there. So
yeah,
when we got started, we kind of got into it and got a few episodes, and then we were like, what are we doing? What's our direction? And it sounds like you all had it a lot more planned out from the get-go than we did.
Listen, somebody is a professor at Wisconsin and teaches this stuff. He teaches it to young people every day. So I was at an advantage. I came in with a ringer. All right. Like I had homie was all set up. He was like, we're going to use this platform. It's how you edit. You need this kind of microphone. Like, so I was already ahead of the game. I was like, yeah, I had the first pick in the draft and I drafted LeBron James of podcasting. And I was like, all right, I'm good. You know?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a vision, but along the way, we figured out some things too, like slight adjustments, and him and I like kind of really working and kind of knowing when we come in and come out. Like when I'll just let Jason just do his thing, and you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Along the way, we learned a lot about each other, and like as being, you know, I've done podcast stuff before, but nothing like when you work with somebody new and it's a new thing, and I don't know. Like nothing like the real thing, right? Like you got to get in there and do it, you know? And
finding that groove. Yeah.
Yeah. And like having listened to every episode of the Lifeless podcast, because, you know, George is from Philly and it's my homie, right? And Alvaro's like number 1 or 2 on my must bird with list. You know, watching you guys go through that progression, right? Trying to kind of find your footing there, right? A lot of knowledge coming out of the 3 of you, right? So I remember before Dexter and I started, I took every podcast that I liked and I walked through what I liked about each one of those podcasts, right? We were talking about where we were going to sit, right? And I remember getting to Lifeless and being like, they just get into some wild stuff that I've never heard before, like bird species that I've never heard about, places I've never heard about. I regularly have to Google stuff after the Lifeless podcast, and I enjoy that, right? I enjoy like, what is this, you know, bird that they're talking about? What is an oil bird? I have no idea what an oil bird is. You know, like I gotta go look it up, you know? But having that space, right, to where like we can hear, you know, like I think we share this, right? It's like every sentence you state in a podcast has the potential to be relatable to somebody out there, right? And that gives them the validation to keep going, you know? So that's kind of what we like, is like, whether it's just making a joke about getting a bird ID wrong or diving into, you know, we were talking about on our last episode that, you know, I had mentioned to Dexter around the episode you guys had around the rough, right? And the wildness, you know, that Alvaro was talking about, right? Like that's where I heard that from. And like, you know, and I was like, I found it really cool, and I had to go look it up, right? And it just provides these extra, I don't know, it's like lenses, right? Like somebody putting one of those little colored lenses over your eyes. And every time you hear something new, it's a new color, right? And the world looks different through that lens. So that's been the really great part about this podcasting, and like kind of being with the birding podcast community, which I feel like is an elite community. Right. I don't know about other podcast communities. Like, I don't know about cooking podcast communities, but I think the birding podcast community is pretty fire.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned the different lenses too. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I think of it really similarly as like learning different languages, and like it's like a dialect kind of, like it's like a different way to perceive and communicate the world that you get from things like this. And I absolutely love it. Yeah. That desire to learn is something that really drives me in birding. And again, now you must get this a lot, and now I'm doing it too, and people do it to me. You know, when people listen to you on the podcast, they feel like they're in the room with you. So I feel like I was just talking to y'all about this. I don't even know when you recorded it, but I listened to it 2 hours ago. So you were talking about how people are like searching for something that makes them get that smile or feel giddy.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me. It's like that sense of discovery that is just completely never goes away. There's just always potential for more in birding, even if it's not birds that you're discovering.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it could be anything, right? And I think Dexter, you can feel when he's about to go through one of those stories, right? Because at least I can see him. I can see the smile on his face when he's about to go into one of the stories about the homies in Wisconsin, or even like that's kind of honestly like when you look at his Instagram, Wisco Birder, right? And as soon as I hear who wants to help me find, I know I'm in for it, right? Because he's about to go find something wild. And the one I'm never going to forget is the brown booby, because I thought that was just wild that he was just out kayaking. But I also like people being able to see that, right, for birds that they may have not seen yet, and to see someone demonstratively showing them the joy as they go through the process, right, is really interesting, right? And like I want more people to see that, because that's really where they're gonna connect, right? And it really is like the best way for people to connect is bird joy, because whether you're, you know, Ross Gallardi looking for some rare bird in Australia, right? Or you're my sister who's just started birding last summer, right? When I took him out with Tama looking for, some sort of California towhee or something, right? Like the same when you get the bird, or you have the experience, right? It's the same thing. I bet if we studied it scientifically, it would be the same endorphins or emotions that people are feeling, and that's really, I think, what's going to drive the growth of this community.
Let's go. I don't even gotta say nothing. I agree with all.
Man. Like, what are we gonna go see? I'm waiting for your Instagram. Yeah, what are we gonna go see this weekend on the Instagram?
Yeah, we gotta see. This time of year, it's not a lot of new stuff to go see. So, it is great catbird season. So maybe we'll go find some catbirds together. I don't know, some juvenile birds,
baby birds.
Yeah,
yard birds.
That's what I enjoy.
Yard birds,
some yard birds.
Yeah, I went and got some mealworms, some live mealworms, and I set them up. I have a little front garden that I've been working on, and the last week there's been a fledgling robin and a parent, and you can tell the parents trying to show the homie how to go find the worms, and like. Parent will get a worm and the homie will fly over and do his thing and beg for food. And sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't. So I got some mealworms and I just put them out there. And now that's what I do. I'm just an old man, and I sit and have my coffee and I watch and see if this. And today I finally saw the little homie, kick up some leaves and get a mealworm. And I was like, there you go. Right. Like, like I feel like it's another level, and like, to be able to do that for a bird that's so common around here, and just enjoy that process, right, of watching how that bird and the parent interacts, right? I got to encourage people, like, don't waste your summer months, right? Now, granted, I ain't going outside a lot here in Philadelphia because it's hateful heat here. But being able to enjoy that in different moments when it is cool throughout the day is like, it really does provide another perspective, because we spend so much time in the spring and the fall of like, adult birds, migration, got to get out, got to catch them all, so to speak, right? And that the slowness of the summertime actually shows more I'll call it the relatability of our humanity in birds, right? Not to anthropomorphize them, but to show like this is a parent feeding a baby. I think we all can relate to most of that, right? And the struggles of that process.
Working hard to do it, you know?
Man, I mean, homie, like I literally want to go outside and be like, man, go find your own food, man. Give your mom a minute, you know?
It's so cool. You mentioned the robin too, and it's kind of cool to see the growth of them because they, you know, when they're young, you get to see that actual thrush on them, you know, the spots and like you see them like growing up, and you're like, this is so cool, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
You see him showing up on the ABA Facebook page, like, what do I got a red wing here or something weird? You know, like what's going on? You know, so it's nice. I know you got some cool stuff in your yard there.
Yeah, I've got cool stuff.
I mean,
I've got a big yard too.
I know. I heard about it.
Yeah. Well, I've got some trail cameras up. And I have a lot of trail cameras up on the property, but a couple of them are the cellular ones, so I get the updates. And so we've got this spot on the property that's human made actually. So this is old strip mine site, and in this one corner at some point, I don't know, 50 years ago when this was active, there was just a pile of concrete that was dumped. It was like, it must have been extra that was just dropped there, and it's just kind of this like choppy, almost flat pad. So it creates these water pools that come in, and it's really cool because a lot of stuff comes in and uses it to bathe. So there have been both a family of baby bluebirds that were in one of the boxes that we had. So that makes them, you know, extra special. And a robin fledgling, and they keep seeming to show up at the same time, and they just sit there and they beg each other. The robin is just begging to the fledgling bluebirds, and they're begging right back, and they just sit there like right in each other's faces. It's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Like 15-second videos of it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They get it. They got like that thrush connection. You know what I'm saying?
They do. They do. Do you think like their parents are just sitting somewhere laughing at them? Like
maybe they're getting their moment's break.
Like, look at these fools down here. You know?
Yeah. Let them figure it out.
Where did we go wrong?
You still have the woodcocks rolling around there.
You know, the woodcocks stopped calling in early June, but they're still around. I haven't found any nests this year, but if I just go walk through the woods, I'll still kick them up and flush them. So it is every once in a while one will like zip by here at the cabin at night too. And
okay, that's nice.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah,
just
that's awesome.
Just fly by, just going about its business. Yeah, that's been really, really fun.
That's awesome.
We call that the symbol of our property at this point. So, yeah. My partner Jimmy's opening up a wood shop. I think he's calling it Woodcock Creations. So,
that'll be awesome.
Excited to let that live on. Yeah, it's cool.
I was gonna say it's got to be an interesting juxtaposition because you do, you know, all these traveling bird tours, right? And to like be able to I guess moving in and out of the bird joy from woodcock flying past your face on your front porch to, you know, some wild bird in, you know, Colombia somewhere, right? Like that's got to be quite interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point and something that I've been thinking about a lot because I've been guiding more, and you know, when you're leading these tours, you're planning them like years in advance. And I'm realizing how important it is to me to spend plenty of time here as well. I will never be a full-time bird guide. And it's nice to have some stuff and some spots that I really like to show folks and go to them throughout the year. But I've been kind of playing around just for fun with like my top birds list. They're all birds that I see here. Like these are my favorite birds. It's exciting to see other stuff too. But man, a rose-breasted grosbeak is
it's always solid. It's always solid. Always solid. And that, you know, that's something I think I think about with our bird clubs. I'm sure Dexter does too. Like at some point being able to have folks that are, you know, we've opened up birding to them in our communities, and then finally having the opportunity to say like, hey, let's get on a plane and go somewhere. You know, let's go take that bird joy with us to a new space. Let's relearn some of this, you know, skill set. Let's be somewhere new. Because I think that is part of the experience of birding, right? It's like going somewhere new, even if it's just one state over, you know, or a few counties over. And there's just one or two species there that you don't have, right? And like the excitement, right, is the anticipation, and we take it for granted sometimes. I think that, I've heard you guys talk about it. Dexter and I have talked about it, of like, can you do that safely, right? We covered that in an episode or two. But getting people to that, I think, it really starts to open up the rest of the world to the possibilities, right? Which is part of the reason why I love it when, like, I'm listening to something and somebody mentions some bird species that I've never seen, because it takes my brain to a place of like, well, if I plan right or do this or do that, maybe one day I can go to that place, right? I want to see a fairy wren, right? So that's when I think about Australia. I'm like, I want to see a fairy wren. It's probably super common down there. That's fine, right? I want to see a fairy wren. I want to see some gulls down there. But like, that's how I think about that continent, right? It's the bird that I want to see on the continent, the space, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, that's
appreciating those, like Molly, where you talked about your favorite birds are the ones you see at home, right? And you mentioned the birding clubs, and I always think about, maybe it's flying and going somewhere, but for some of the folks, I'd just be happy to show them the local park that they never hiked before. Right? Like we launched a new backpack program for the club, and shout out to Jeff and Sean for getting that rolling. But what we did when we dropped off the packs is we also included resources for those areas, right? Wherever we dropped them off, literally they put in the research and the work to say, hey, all right, you got these backpacks, but you also have all these amazing places around this neighborhood center. And getting people to realize that that's one of the coolest things about birding for me. You mentioned the lifelong learning. That's a big one. Jason and I, we talked about that, like always learning, going somewhere new, not knowing anything. Like, that's exciting.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like the little kid. I even said it in the episode. Yeah. I'm running around with Merlin all high. Like I'm 5 years old, because I ain't never heard that before. I've never seen this before. And it's like, we talked about, that's what birding, that to me, that's bird joy. Cause like, and you see it in little kids and like all these different aspects of life. Like when they get excited, when they smile, when they have joy, right? That's how I feel when I go birding. Like I feel like I'm a little kid again. And like that stupid face, that grin that Jason mentions all the time, that's the feeling. And like, I still get that feeling when I see that juvenile robin with the spots on his chest, or when I see a person see that for the first time and they don't even know what it is. Ooh, that lights me up, right? Where I'm like, no, that's a robin. And they're like, what? You know what I mean? Like those kind of moments are really cool. And I hope more people like take the time to appreciate that, because then when you do go on those amazing trips and you see that fairy wren or you see whatever, it makes those moments even more special. Because when you get home, you're going to be like, I can't believe I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, but you enjoy that moment more when you appreciate even the mundane, everyday life moments, and the regular awesome birds that people call common.
It's truth,
and all.
Yeah, it's truth.
So
it's truth, and we don't always think about our birds as part of a larger bird family or a larger bird genus, right?
Yeah. We
don't always think about that, but when you travel a little bit, or you just explore your local space, and like, I didn't, I remember long time ago, finding out that a towhee was more closely related to a sparrow than anything else. Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the sparrow family. And you sit down and think about it, you're like, yep, that makes sense. Homie be lurking in the bushes, singing all the time, obviously a sparrow, right? Pretty one. Well, they're all pretty, but that one is pretty cool. Right. But then taking that even further, right? And it, I'm gonna wax poetic a little bit here, right? But going to, when I was in Tanzania and hearing the long claws on the Serengeti, on the savannah, right? And being like, man, that sounds kind of like an eastern meadowlark. And then I see it and I'm like, duh, like it kind of looks almost like one, right? It's got, some different kind of patterns, but generally the same, right? And then coming home and being in Valley Forge National Historic Park and listening to them and being like, man, am I in PA or am I in Tanzania? Right? Like these are species, and I have no idea all the time whether or not they co-evolve together or separately or
Mhm.
whatever. That's all for me to go figure out over a cup of coffee. But being able to then say, okay, these birds that are on two different continents kind of look alike, kind of sound alike, generally in the same family. So what does that mean for me and other humans on those continents? Right? What does that mean for me and other experiences? Like really trying to center the fact that we're not so different, you know? Um, and the sun hits all our faces the same way, right? The breeze blows through our hair, right? Like we all are generally in this kind of thing where we can interpret the world, and the more information we get, we don't necessarily realize that we're so different. We realize that we're more alike, right? And that's kind of what I like about birding too, is like the species that I see in other places of the world remind me of home, and thus then connect me to those species outside of my home in a more substantial way, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm
Wow.
done. I'm done. I'm done.
What did Bob
waxing
Marley?
poetic.
Bob Marley said something. He said the rain doesn't fall on one man's house.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, beautiful. So that's what I get excited about, is like the and the people you meet when you bird, right?
Oh yeah.
Like we're not out there by ourselves, you know? So like I think about the people, like when I see a bird or I see an old picture of a bird, I'm more likely to think about the person I was with at the time, and like
Yep.
what we experienced. Like I went when I used to have to travel for work a lot, and I was in Brazil, and I had this guy, Dimas Bucci, and he, took me to the Atlantic rainforest outside of Sao Paulo. And, we're looking for a ruddy quail dove, right? And he was like, I don't think we're going to see one. Next thing I know, the homie's on the ground. He's like creeping under this bush, and he's like, shh, quiet, right? And he's like trying to get this bird. And this is in like 2009 or 2010 or something. But like watching him get that excited over that bird, right, was really validation for me. Cause like, oh, this is exactly how I get back home if I'm about to see something that I didn't think was going to be in that spot. And that will always be special to me. I literally have a tattoo of that bird on my arm now because that moment was so special to me. Right. And so I want to encourage people, like, that's really what you're looking for, is like this kind of full comprehensive birding package of the bird joy, the people you meet, the community you build, right? Like all these things are super awesome.
Totally. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, connection is just the best word to use all around. But when you find a community or people that are supporting you, whether it's somebody that's out birding with you or somebody that you're listening to on a podcast from very far away, and they're equally as excited, like you said, that's so validating. And I mean, I think that's got to be huge to really care about something like this long term. Is you're gonna run out of birds to list somewhere someday. That's what you're doing, But like having that deeper passion and feeling like it's a great thing to embrace that and just live it up with that every time you see a bird. It's pretty cool. Honestly, it's something that I had struggled with for a long time and still do some. I didn't really have a birding. I really liked birds my whole life, but I didn't really find a birding community until college. And I will say that those were a lot of old folks who had sort of the, older style of birding, and it was pretty stuffy. It wasn't exactly exciting.
Sure.
And I don't know, that kind of formed some of my early perceptions of what birding was. Even though I'd loved nature and birds my whole life, then it was suddenly like, oh, this is birding or bird watching or whatever, because at that point I thought, well, these things have different meanings. And it's taken a long time to fight my way out of that and figure out where I want to be, which is just enjoying birds and being excited about it and caring about what happens to them and the other things that are related to them and how they connect to the world and what I can do about it.
I mean, we all have different life experiences. I think as somebody that co-founded a birding club, I get that. Even, with our club, yes, we created it for people of color, to get more people of color outside. but we created it also to bring in more people that kind of shared our vision for what birding could be. And that's simply birding is for everyone, right? And trying to share as much bird joy as possible. You know, I had this similar, I always tell people I've always loved birds, but I never gave them the attention they deserved early. And I think a lot of that, Molly, for me, was that I didn't see people like me birding. Very similar to when you talk about some of the, experiences you had when you first started, as a woman around a bunch of older people. That's not, like that's a different experience. You don't necessarily see yourself in that group either. And I think I see that in my club. There are so many different people from all walks of life. They could be BIPOC folk, but they could be older. They could be, have a family. Maybe not. Maybe they're just a college student that's coming to check us out. But all BIPOC, but all have different needs, all have different life experiences, right? So it's kind of eye opening when you just take a step back and be like, birding is probably different for everybody. And I feel like there are a lot of people that don't know that bird joy is for them, or that, you can go out and birding doesn't not have to be stuffy, right? It doesn't have to be, right? Maybe that's great for you. Cool. Right. But that ain't gonna work for me. Right. Like I don't get out like that. So like, I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be that there are so many different ways to enjoy birds, and one way is not right or one way is not wrong. Right. I just think that we need to understand that like everybody's different, and just like the birds, like that's what makes us great. That's what makes this country great. That's what makes going out and exploring new places great, because you can go from one habitat to another habitat to where it's like this bird only goes here, and this bird you'll probably only find it here, and it's so cool. And it's it's the differences that make everything so cool. We talked about this idea, it's like windows to wonder, where you open up this window and it's like, whoa, what is all that over there? What's all that over there? Right. And there's so much to learn. And as we see summer, middle of summer is kind of quieting down, not necessarily the same type of birding experience, but the fall is around the corner. It's going to be so much different again. So it's beautiful. Let's celebrate that diversity within the birding community, as well as outdoors with our little feathered friends.
Yeah. And birding can pair so nicely with other things, right?
Oh yeah.
Like if you follow my Instagram, you can tell that I've been exploring birking, which is birding and biking at the same time.
Ooh.
I'm not sure if that's the right term to use, BIRKING, but I bought my son a mountain bike, and then he was having trouble learning how to bike. And then I was like, well, it's easier for me to teach him if I have a bike. I haven't had a bike in a while. So I got a nice mountain bike. And I started biking and realized I felt great afterwards. But the reason why, like, I have a friend that started running and birding. And like, I can't do that because you won't hear, like, my breath, I'll be heaving and huffing and, but on a bike, you can just kind of coast. You can slow down if you want to. You can stop, right? And the coolest part about biking and birding is that you can quickly get to maybe a birding spot, right, without the long walk there, and you can explore more of a space. So we have some big refuges around here, and they have some spots that are known this time of the year to start to get some wild dispersals, right, of the wading birds. But then they're starting to get some shorebirds that show up. Like I just saw there's a pectoral sandpiper that showed up at one of our refuges here, John Hunt's. But like if I wanted to see it, normally I got to park my car. I got to strap on the scope. I got to walk like an hour down to the second horseshoe of the thing, right? On my bike, though, I'm just coasting. I can get down there before the sun comes up, right, and listen. So I've been doing a lot of birding by ear with the biking. And then the other thing is like, I love food. So like I did this thing one time with Valley Forge where I was showing like the different, I did a lunch and learn around birding, with Valley Forge. And I did another presentation at the Academy of Natural Sciences. And I talked about the different spots of Philadelphia you could go birding, what time of day, and then what you could go eat afterwards. So it was not only a recommendation of the birds you could see in West Philly, North Philly, South Philly, Center City, it was the restaurants you could go eat at afterwards, right? And it was seasonal too. It was like, yeah, you head down there in the fall, you're gonna see these weird ducks. You're gonna go over to so and so and get their, French toast or their huevos rancheros, right? Like that part I really love is like you can build it into other habits around your life, other things you like, and it's the same level of anticipation, right? It's like maybe you're trying a new food with a new bird, right? I always am jealous of Dexter. I don't know if you ever heard of these from Alvaro, but he has these bird and wine tours down in like Argentina and Venezuela. Like I showed one to my wife one time on the phone, and I was like, "Can you imagine? I wouldn't be sober. How would I bird? Like, how would that even work for me? I'd be eating and drinking my way through the country. I'd probably be able to log like 3 species."
I think my family would just be mad at me because no matter where I go, I'm birding. So like, it don't even matter. Like, I don't care where we go. Like, they know I'm going to go birding, right? So like, do I pick places that I may want to see some birds at? Maybe, you know what I mean? I'm not saying yes or no, right? I'm pleading the fifth.
Listen,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth. But I don't care where we go. I'm going birding. See you in a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of me getting up early too, because I'll get up at the crack when nobody wants to get up. It don't even matter. I'm gone, bro. Like, I come back, literally done did like 3-4 miles. I done had breakfast. I'm like jacked up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm on the Life Lifts podcast. I got some lifers today, right?
Yeah.
I come back, they're like, "Where you been? Where have I not been? Where you been? Sleeping, right? You've been sleep. I'm out here chasing bird joy. I don't even know what that is, but I was, spending some time with that thing over there. I'm gonna figure that out later. Don't worry about me, right? Yeah. Like, that's why I'm just kind of saying, don't worry about me. Ask yourself why you was asleep, right?
Yeah, when I was out here getting lifeless.
10 o'clock and I've been out here living for like 4 or 5 hours, you know?
So, spend your summers. By the way, my car's license plate is I'm birding. And
oh, nice. You don't even have to explain it to people.
Nope. That's nice. It gets more waves than other things, I think.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Also, my West Virginia tour that I'm doing for the first time next May is Birds and Culinary Adventures. It's just also
see?
a half food. Mm-hmm.
See? Yep. That's what I'm saying,
how
man.
How far away is West Virginia from Philly, Jason?
It's not that far for me. Not that far for me. I mean, it actually touches Pennsylvania on the west side.
Like 1.75 miles from the Pennsylvania border.
Oh, see, yeah. See, we gotta make something happen. But it's
about that.
Yeah, it's just really great. And like, are you even a birder if when your spouse or your family comes to you and plans a vacation? Are you even a birder if you don't go check eBird first? Right? Like my wife would be like, "Hey, why don't we go to this little town in South Carolina on the beach for a week?" Right? And I've never been there. I'm straight to eBird. What county is that? What they got going on down there? Right? Yeah. If they don't got no marshes or no protected nesting habitats in the summertime, I'm out. You know. So like that's it. But it becomes this, like I said, another lens to put on over your eyes for the world, like another color to see the world through. Is like how many people have you met that have been recent birders and they say something like, "Oh, I used to live in Portland, right on, I used to live in the Northwest, right on the coast, but I wasn't a birder then."
Oh,
and you can see the sadness in their eyes that they were like, "What did I miss? What did I miss?"
Instant FOMO, like, what? I wasn't even paying attention,
man. And like I used to travel places for work before I was really heavily birding, and didn't even. I grew up in Southern California too, and I didn't start birding until I moved to Philly, right? So now I gotta, so every time I go back to visit, like I gotta get my life list up to get my cred. Like, I can't get no California cred, like. They're like, "Bro, you live in SoCal."
Hard to get California cred.
Yeah. It's wild out there, right? And so, like, being able to have folks be excited about that part of their journey, that there's always something new to see. And honestly, none of us are going to be. Most of us probably won't be. What's the gentleman's name? Peter Kastner, that saw 10,000 bird species, right? Like that homie's like a U.S. ambassador, so they have him all over the globe. So I get it, right? But like most of us probably aren't going to hit that mark. And the beautiful part about that is that we always will have something new to look forward to seeing, most likely. So
Yep.
if this is something that we like to do,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, the other thing too that I used to think or hear a lot, and that seems totally different now, is I used to always hear how like birding is this tight knit community of these few people, and like you can name the birders that are around. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I don't live in a very populated area, and if I go out to any sort of public area, there are all sorts of people that I don't know that are out there enjoying birds that I just see on the trails.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people that maybe don't show up to the typical Audubon walk on the weekends that are still out there loving birds, and it's so cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Enjoying
Yeah.
all sorts of ways.
We're all everywhere. We're everywhere. Every time I always say it's meeting people in the wild, right? And I always get excited. Like it's funny, people like they might get excited to meet me. I'm like just as excited to meet them, right? And I'm like, it's so cool to meet people in the wild, like in real life. Like that is really cool. Like let's go find something together. You know?
How do you feel? How do you feel, Dex, when somebody comes up and they're like, "Hey, aren't you the Wisco birder?"
Bro, it's weird, right? First of all, but like, I want to tell a quick little story about like where that kind of like one of those type of moments kind of changed me, right? So Blackbirder, for a long time, we talked about this, Jason, on safety, where like for a long time I was afraid to go to rural areas, right? We had an event in a rural area, and I remember going up there and being so just kind of scared. To be honest, like before I got there, I was nervous. I was like anxious and I remember getting there, and I get there and we're getting ready to hit the trail, and I see this person. I'd never seen this person ever. And they started freaking out, and they started smiling, and they started talking to their people. And I was like, what's going on over here? And the person walks over really kind of like scared and timid and like weird, like kind of feeling how I was feeling, to be honest with you. And they were like, can we take a picture with you? I was like, what? Like, I'm like, here I am. I'm scared to death to even be here, right? And I'm in this rural area, and these random people come up to me like and ask me, could they take a picture with me? So it changed me like immediately. Like I was like, damn, like I told you I was keeping myself from a lot of bird joy in a lot of these places. And honestly, those feelings are real. They're legit. I don't want to minimize that for anybody. But when you get through it and you got somebody that can support you, that's what we do with our club, is we provide those opportunities for people to experience these rural places safely together, you know, as a club. But in that moment, like that was where I just saw another human being, and a lot of that fear just kind of like left my body, and it was just like a right, like most people are good, you know, and I've had some bad experiences as a person of color in rural areas. Like every time has not been that right, but that moment, and it happened to be like the first time. And maybe that's the universe like trying to get me to come back or whatever you may believe in. But that was that experience to where I was like, okay, I'll be back. Yeah. I'll go explore some areas that I was afraid. So
I love that.
One of those moments.
Yeah.
I love that. And I wonder, those folks that got out of the car and saw you, what did you do for them to make them feel more safe? Like just the fact that they saw you. Right. Like I'd love to go interview them and hear like, what were you guys feeling before the event? And when you saw Dexter and you got excited, were they able to take a deep breath and be like, oh, we're out here with the home. We're good. You know, like and we don't always think about that, what we do for one another, that community, that connection that you talk about. Yeah. Like kinship, right? Like it really means a lot. And it always makes me, you know, it makes my peanut butter cheeks blush when you know somebody's like I was in Utah, and I was out there to do during Blackbirders Week a bird walk and some training at the Tracy Aviary, and I was just in a random canyon by myself, you know, surrounded by like 8 million lazuli buntings, And this couple comes walking by me, and they like walk past me, and they like kind of stare at me side eye, and I'm used to it. I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna keep going. I know there's no black people in Salt Lake City, really. But there are homies.
Yeah, the Utah Jazz players.
Yeah, right. But then they like stopped and they're like, "Hey, sorry to bother you. Are you that bird guy?" Right. And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." Right. And so like just that communication, right. And they ended up coming to the event that I had at the aviary. But like I love that, right? It makes me self-conscious. I don't, necessarily want to be that that point of attention all the time. But if it makes people feel good and they see themselves and they feel like, and this is for any, this is unsolicited advice for any bird guide out there, right? People, if you're not paying, I'll say in some cases, more attention to the people than you are the birds at certain times, you're gonna miss some things, right? Because the birds are gonna be the birds, right? And we all know those pretty well. But as you're on a good species or heading down a nice trail, taking a step back and looking at the people you have around you, how are they feeling? What faces are they making? Is anyone struggling with anything? Is anyone hanging back? Like, as you put that effort into connecting with those folks, and then you see them again out on the trail and again and again and again, you start to realize that little moment they had with you, you saw them and you addressed them, recognized them. That's what's going to get them those new birds is the confidence you gave them to get out there and do that. And like, that's really when I also, Molly, got into birding. I didn't see a lot of that in the typical birding circles, right? There was not a lot of attention paid to being inclusive of one another, right? So some unsolicited advice to the new bird guides out there, right? Take care of your people.
Yeah.
I've been having this conversation a little bit recently too. A few years. Oh, it's been 4 or 5 years. It's been longer than that. It was before the pandemic. Jen Hosh, who's the director of the San Diego Bird Festival, asked
I know
me
Jen.
to do. Yeah, Jen's great. And she asked me if I would do a workshop during the festival on how to be a field trip leader. And I thought that was a crazy thing to ask, and I was like, seriously? That's like, will people show up? And she was like, oh yeah, lots of people want it. Like we need to have someone do this. So I put together a workshop and did it, and it was great. They're actually it sold out. I think it was really cool. But that my slides kind of resurfaced, and I've been talking about this with folks more recently because I realized that there are a lot of people who are intimidated to like help with a bird walk at their local club because they feel like they can't identify the birds, and that is the thing that's stopping them from like what they want to do and to share the joy with others too. So I think there's a lot to be done there on reshaping that narrative of leadership and birding in big and small ways.
It's just an opportunity, right? It's a learning opportunity, Molly. So I would tell people like, you won't not have all the answers. If you think you're going to have all the answers, you'll never have that perfect moment. Right? You could be the beginner birder can lead walks. You could lead beginner birder walks, and you can grow with people and you can learn together. You can say, oh, what was that? Whip out the field guide. Can you get a picture of it to ID it later? Like there are so many opportunities. People always try to, this is the professor coming out. F is not for failure. F is for feedback. That's why I always tell the students, and I will always give a student an opportunity to improve an F based off of feedback. What they do with that opportunity, that's on them, right? Won't get second chance after that, but just think about that. Don't go out thinking you need to have all the answers. Just like, you know what? I don't know, but I want to figure it out. Let's figure it out together. Yeah. Oh, that feels good, right? Like, just take that pressure off yourself, please. Yeah. That's what leads to birding being stuffy. That's what leads to birding not being welcoming, not being inclusive, not being fun, right? Yeah. So please take that pressure off yourself.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. And there's something fun about the puzzle of trying to figure out a bird, like.
Oh, yeah. Like learning out loud.
Yeah. Like it's just, it's. But you got to think about it. We come up in these societies, a lot of us, where, it's the grades and how you're performing against your peers and state tests and all kinds of wild stuff. And You overlay that with our ability to interact with one another as human beings in places where we're all uncomfortable with something or learning something. It's not that easy, right? It'd be different if we grew up in a society where in our math class, we taught math to each other, right? All the 8th graders were teaching math to each other, but that's not how it works. We get taught by a teacher, and then we get judged based on how well each of us interpret that teacher's teachings, right? So letting that go, right, is really key. And it can be fun. And I know Dexter is probably loathing the day we have to record the episode about goals, but we're going to make it fun though, because I have George here, right, who I can call and ask stuff if I have a weird goal or something, and I get to do some stuff with them. But I'm still relatively new in goal ID, right? And I bought all these fancy books behind me from a bunch of great goal experts. None of them have anything about the joy, right, really, of the process. But what they do show you is that from different perspectives, it's just a puzzle. It's just a puzzle. And you don't need, if you're not feeling pressure to put together the 1,000-piece puzzle on your grandma's dining room table, don't worry about it for goals either. Just take it at your own pace. But like that part should be fun, right? That part should be just, and we can all laugh about the ridiculous plumage of, early cycle goals in different places. And Lord knows on the West Coast with all those hybrids, like who in their right mind would want to do that, right? But if you take it at the right perspective, it can be fun for the rest of your life, right? Like now, I'm listening. I saw the splits and the lumps and I'm like, all right, well, when am I going to see a Mongolian goal, right? Like, what's that going to look like? And now I got something else I got to go Google. You know what I mean? Right. So like that's, and that is everyone from me to Dexter to Molly to the person who is listening to this podcast for the first time and just learned about birding last week, right? I'm talking to that person right now. You can go do any of those things and just let that pressure go, like make it a life's journey.
Yep. I don't think it's any secret to the listeners of this podcast that my two co-hosts are absolute world experts that have decades of experience, and I'm not even on that same track. I have a marketing agency. So I'm someone who really enjoys and really cares about birds and nature, and I have to remind myself of that plenty each time I'm on here with George and Alvaro, and I'm trying to participate in this conversation on things that are way over my head as well. I can't Google as we're sitting there talking. I'm not that talented.
Oh, sure. Sure.
So I just catch up later. But
the beauty of it is we all belong together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. It don't matter, right? Like all that experience, when you have this birding is for all perspective, like use that experience to draw more people into birding instead of making people not want to do it. There are so many people that have so much experience and knowledge, and they don't want to share it. They don't want to say hi to you on the trail. They don't want to tell you what they're hearing, and they don't want to tell you what they got their binoculars on or anything. Yeah. Like, to me, that is not good. Like, that's not the way to live, man. Come on, let's spread that bird joy. Like, if you literally are on your way out, or you got your eyes on something amazing, and you see another birder and you don't tell them, that's weird. Like, that's super weird energy. Like,
that's what we have to normalize. We have to normalize that is a weird way to bird, right?
Yes,
it's like any sport, right? Like most sports that are team based. Some of the first things you learn are like how to pass to your teammate, right? How to organize a play, how to work together, how to communicate. But in birding, for some reason, we don't do that necessarily. It becomes this very individualistic activity at times. So like normalizing, like, no, pass the ball to your homie, right? Let them know what you just saw, right? Or ask a question, like say, hey, maybe I'm not confident in this ID. Do you know what this is? Right? Like that part is really cool. And like, that's where I like to imagine this utopia of the world where everybody is peaceful and at least 7 billion people are birders, and we're all, nirvana. But it's something we have to work towards. I don't want to make it seem Like it's easy to do. Like I think all three of us could agree, and a lot of our listeners, like it takes practice and effort and mindfulness when it comes to that pursuit of making this community better. But I think that's what we're all trying to do, right? It's like make it better so that the next Molly that comes around is not going to experience stuffiness necessarily. They're going to be like, oh, this is dope, or whatever cool word they're using in 20 years, right? I don't know. The way these middle schoolers talk today, I'm like, I have no idea.
You sound like Eddie Murphy in the new Coming to America. When Ava said something about I'm on fleek, and the daughter was like, we don't say fleek no more. He said, what?
Yeah, like, what is that?
Like fleek.
Like my son is 6 and he comes down and says stuff to me and I'm just staring at him with a blank face. Like I have no idea what you're talking about. Like So
yeah, my mom is a 5th grade math teacher. And every once in a while, she'll pull something like that out, and I'll be like, "What did you just say?"
Yeah,
like, is that not something that everybody's saying?
like that's how you know when you're getting old, right? Where you get less and less understanding of the language in your own community from the young people. But that's okay. That's okay. We're still going to show them how to bird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like we've talked about, just anybody can be an example of bird joy. And we've all pointed out these instances where we've felt it on both ends, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, you can do it like on any platform. If you're anywhere out there birding, other people can see it. But okay, so we're coming up on the hour, as we say here on Life List. I have a question for y'all that I've been really excited to ask since we started scheduling this, because your bird clubs are so cool. They are really awesome. It is so cool to watch them from a distance, and just the stuff that y'all are doing. And I have been helping with a couple. There's a sort of statewide bird club here in West Virginia, and then there's our local chapter that's currently called Mountaineer Audubon, and both are kind of going through this transition of like, hey, we see that there are a lot of people out there birding, but they're not really, none of what we're offering is appealing. So it's like this, like, how do we throw out the norm and figure out what's cool, or what what isn't the way that things have always been done that might actually work better. So clearly both of you are doing that in a lot of different ways, and I would love to hear what advice you have for organizations like that, or individuals like that, me, who are trying to help out in that way. Like, how do you start fresh with something like that, or how do you transform in those ways?
You gotta you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I would say anytime that you're trying to build any type of community that is non-traditional, underrepresented people, the first thing that I always say is, how do we center their voices, right? And we do that by listening to everybody, by paying attention to the unique needs of everybody, and allowing everybody to try to experience the birding event, which is a singular thing, in their own way. So what I always do is we do introductions, and this is really fun for me. And I will always say, who's here for the first time? Are there any first-time birders? And there's always hands that go up. And we've been doing this for 3 years. Every single time, there's always hands that go up. This is why I will never stop asking that question. And we clap for them. And we get excited. We're like, yeah, right? Because that means we're bringing people in. And for me, then I really want to spend some time with them. And this is really important because we're meeting. I always tell people, as a marketer, Molly, you'll get this, is you need to meet your audience where they are. Correct? Right? And same as with the birding club. As I try to meet them where they are, I will change my language when I'm talking to a new birder. I will not dumb it down. I will try to explain it as simple as possible. And I teach this to my students. I will say, hey, explain it to them like they're a 4th grader. Not that they're stupid, right? You're trying to explain it to them like they're a 4th grader. So give them the bare minimum facts for them to understand this in the most simplest language, right? That's an experience for that person. And you change that no matter who it is. And Jeff gets this, Rita gets this, Sean gets. We're all at different levels, right? Jeff and Rita are like super OG, Super Saiyan birders. Like they done seen, like I don't even. They done seen so many birds. I might not even see that. I mean, like Rita's like, I don't even know. Like I said, I think it's like 347. Actually, maybe it's grown since the last time I talked to Rita. She's that crazy, and that's just Wisconsin. But everybody's different. So I would say to people, meet them where they are and understand that like there's no this one size fits all approach with your messaging, with your marketing. You need to, if you want to be inclusive, you got to be inclusive in the language, in the pictures that you use, that you put on the flyers, and the people that lead your events. Like there are so many things that you got to think about before you really start to see the progress and bringing people into the fold. Yeah, you got a lot of good things going, but you're not communicating to this new age of birder, and you're not communicating to people that are outside of that little circle that you've built for yourself. So that's what I would say is most important, to center those people's voices and understand that all these life experiences are going to be different, and you got to listen to that, and you got to be aware of that, because Jason mentioned it earlier. When you make somebody feel seen, it's powerful, and it does something to them. They go home with a different perspective on the outdoor experience because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say tactically, right? If you're an existing organization and you're trying to figure out how to break into that stuff, one thing I always tell people is find local community organizations that would be good fits to partner with, right? So whether it's a local church, community center, school, and just reach out and say, hey, do you guys have any need for birding programming? And then go bird near or in their community, right? Don't ask them to come out to the crazy place in the middle of the forest that they've never been to before, or they have to rent a bus to do it. Say, okay, well, what local parks are around you? Where do you guys get your green space, right? Go there, invest in going there and doing that work with that community, because that's like Dexter said, he loves taking people to parks that they may have been in their whole life, but they never looked up and saw the bald eagles flying over, right? I had that exact experience in Philly with some high school kids, right? So like that's what's going to make the difference. And the last thing I'll say is consistency, right? You don't need to engineer a solution to racism in America through your first bird walk, right?
Talk to them.
You can't, right? You can't. But what you can do is be very intentional about that bird walk, right? And then the next one, so that every time you have one, people know who's leading it. They know they're going to be represented. They have experiences they can share with their family and friends. I'm like, yeah, I met this young lady, Molly. She was awesome. Like she showed me this, like show me how to use the binoculars. They're doing another event next month, right? Like that consistency over time is what builds the community, right? And that's what leads you to some of these. You'll have these conversations with folks that you never imagined you would have. And you'll realize that there's so much joy and knowledge actually already in the community, and even curiosity, a lot of curiosity about the birds. And then as soon as you open that door and they see it's safe to walk through and experience birds with that organization, it's going to explode, right? They're going to start showing you pictures on their phone of the goldfinches in the backyard. Like it's going to get, it's going to get crazy. But that's really what it takes. I think a lot of organizations think that there's some magic thing to do, or they have to create something new. No, you just have to go find partnerships with the communities that are already there, right? So that would be my advice.
That's awesome. I can't wait to share this snippet of this podcast with the folks I've been working with. I don't think they listen to the whole podcast, but they can listen to the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. And like I'm leading more international tours too. And when I finally realized that this is something that I could do and be good at, it's sort of been along these lines too. I can't stand the thought of going to one of the coolest places in the world and just chasing down as many bird species as possible and like taking them off and running around and going through that is just not the way I like to bird. And I think that's not the way a lot of folks like to bird. So I've been having an absolute blast just coming up with ways to have fun and see a lot of birds and spend a lot of time with birds. And now I'm ready to lead birding tours.
Yeah,
They keep them coming back. It'll have them telling their friends how much fun they had.
Yeah.
That's different, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell some casual birder, right? You can't tell some casual birder, I had 45 lifers, and start naming off all these birds that know. They're like, what's that? I don't care.
Yeah.
You tell them I had so much fun. I saw this beautiful bird, and you start to describe the bird, and then you talk about this amazing meal that you had, and like this village, and had this amazing shop, and all, right? Like, whoa, now it's an experience. It's like a whole different conversation. Right? Like everybody can relate to that. So the joy.
That's right. All right. Well, I guess it's time to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for taking the time to talk. This has been awesome. I could do this every Friday, but luckily I can listen to your podcast and get
well, maybe we can, maybe we can work out some time when we get started. We can have some of the homies from the Life List podcast on, and we can
season 2. We need it. We need it. We need it. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, it was lovely. For that. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Molly.
Yeah, thank you all. See y'all next time on Life List.
Bye-bye.